My brother framed me for a crime. My parents kicked me out years later. I was 17 when my life shattered like glass underfoot. It started with a phone call in the dead of night. My mother opened my bedroom door with panic on her face. "The police are downstairs," she whispered. My heart stuttered. I hadn't done anything, yet something told me this wasn't a mistake. I followed her down, barefoot and shivering in my pajamas. The officers were stone-faced as they explained the situation. Someone had hacked into the school's database and altered student grades, dozens of them. The access trail led back to my school account, my laptop, my name. I was stunned, speechless. I couldn't even explain how to install a program, let alone hack a system. But the evidence was there: emails sent from my address, IP logs, screenshots found on my hard drive. And the cherry on top, my own grades had been boosted too. That apparently was the motive. When they searched my laptop and found an external USB with hacking software, it was over. I knew who had done it: my older brother, Kyle. Kyle had always been smarter than me in a cold, calculating way. He was 2 years older, a tech prodigy who spent nights in the dark clicking away at his laptop. To our parents, he was a genius. To me, he was a shadow I was always trapped under. But that year, I was finally stepping into my own light: honor roll, scholarship offers, even a nomination for a National Youth Award. For the first time, I saw pride in my parents' eyes, pride that wasn't directed at him. I didn't think he'd resent it that much. I was wrong. I told my parents everything, about how only Kyle had access to my laptop, about the strange looks he'd been giving me, about how he once told me, "You're not as perfect as you think." They didn't believe me, not even a flicker of doubt. My mother cried, asking me, "How could you do this to us?" My father told me I had disgraced the family name. Kyle stood in the corner, silent, tears welling in his eyes, tears of guilt, I thought, but they saw remorse. He even whispered, "I'm sorry," like he was the one hurting. They wrapped their arms around him and turned their backs on me. They kicked me out 2 days later. I wasn't even allowed to pack my things properly. My father handed me a backpack and said, "Go figure out who you are. Maybe then you'll understand what you've done." I spent the first night sleeping in the park behind our neighborhood. I remember the cold biting into my skin and wondering if I'd freeze to death. Eventually, I found temporary shelter, first with a friend, then a cousin who lived in a different state. I dropped out of school, got a job at a gas station, then another at a diner. But I never stopped learning. I used the library computers to teach myself coding. Ironic, really, considering what I'd been falsely accused of. It became an obsession, not just to prove I could, but to survive. By 22, I had a freelance gig doing software testing. By 24, I was running a cybersecurity consultancy out of a shared office space. I worked with startups, government contractors, eventually even school districts, the same type of institutions that once branded me a criminal. Every time someone trusted me with their data, I felt a piece of myself stitching back together. Then 3 years ago, I got an email from someone I didn't recognize. The subject line simply said, "Your brother talked." I opened it and froze. It was a message from an old friend of Kyle's. He told me that Kyle had gotten drunk at a college party and confessed to everything. How he framed me, how he'd planted the evidence, how easy it was to manipulate our parents. Apparently, he'd done it out of jealousy, pure and simple. The friend had recorded part of the confession on his phone. He attached the audio file. I listened to it 12 times that night. My first instinct was to confront him. My second was to forward it to our parents. But I didn't. I let silence sit where anger used to live. That silence grew into power. Word got out anyway. Kyle lost his job after someone leaked the confession. His friends abandoned him. He moved back in with our parents, who, by then, had begun to question what really happened all those years ago. They reached out to me, begging for forgiveness, asking if we could talk. I never responded. I didn't need their apologies. I had built my life from nothing. I had found peace, even success. And most of all, I had found clarity. I wasn't the boy they kicked out. I was a man who had risen beyond their imagination. Kyle stole my innocence, my home, my family. But in return, I got freedom. Real freedom. The kind that no apology can offer and no guilt can take away. Sometimes, justice doesn't come in courtrooms or headlines. Sometimes, it comes in the quiet knowledge that you survived the fire, and your enemies are still choking on the smoke.